Everyone, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be a little bit different. It's a Q&A. So I've took a lot of questions off some of you guys, and I will be answering them now. I'm gonna put a trigger warning on, as some of the questions can be a bit sensitive to some people. So the first question is, how does your OCD affect your day-to-day life? So my OCD affects my day-to-day life in many different ways. Even just sitting still, I'm always thinking about it. I'm always doing something to do with my OCD and to listen to them intrusive thoughts. So it affects my day-to-day life quite a lot. If I go to the toilet, I'm walking back and forth. I'm sitting down on the toilet, standing up, sitting down, standing up, washing my hands, re-washing my hands. And basically that's what it does all the time, no matter what I do. So the next question is plans for future. So at the moment, I don't have any plans for the future, but what I would like is hopefully one day, I have got another question, which is what's your dream job, and that sort of sits in with this. So my dream job is to become a police officer and get in a good place with mental health, and hopefully have another child in the future to give Caleb a brother or sister. Medication, do you think it helps or makes things worse? Now, some medication can help and some can make things worse. Some of the medication I'm on can be helpful, but also can be unhelpful too. So the medication that I take is quetiapine and clomipramine. The clomipramine is my OCD medication, and the quetiapine is to stop things in my head, reduce it, and it helps my sleep too. What needs to change for the doctors and nurses to let me go? So reduced incidents and engagement with therapy sessions. Any rehab slash therapy. So I am having therapy on the ward. I've just started a couple of days ago. So I'm having 3 sessions off the ward a week and 2 off my mental health team slash psychologist. What triggers your mental health? So what triggers episodes and things like that is loud noises, intrusive thoughts from my OCD, arguments. It can be anything at all. It can be the smallest thing. But yeah. Coping strategies. Do you have any coping strategies? So I listen to music really loudly when I'm having bad intrusive thoughts or really bad thoughts about harming myself or anything like that. So I'll use music. Sometimes I'll colour. I have loads of sensory toys, like stretchy men, bendy men, stretchy unicorns, tangles, fidget toys, anything that I can move in my hand, as I find that can really help. But they're my main coping strategies, and if not, maybe get in the car and watch things through the window. I find that's quite nice, and pointing things out. Have you lost any friends? So yeah, I have recently lost one of my best friends in July, and it was really tough. And that's something that I'm currently dealing with at the moment. So a stage of grief that I'm at, and that is really hard. I find that hard to talk about. But yeah, she was called Charlotte and she was amazing. Yeah. What's your biggest achievement? My biggest achievement is, no matter how I felt, I went out and got a job. I worked really hard for a while, and then of course I've been off sick, which I'll explain why in another question. How has COVID affected your mental health? Absolutely. Because I suffer with OCD and I'm worried about like illnesses and germs and all that kind of stuff, that really did set me off, and I think that that's what started my mental health bad episode this previous year. Was my OCD set off by anything in particular? Absolutely not. I can just remember the first time I had an intrusive thought, which was I was in my mum's room. Well, it was my room, but in my mum's house at the time. And I was just looking in the mirror because I had a mirrored wardrobe. And I had a thought in my head that if I didn't refold all the washing, top to bottom, then my mum was going to die. Or if I went to sleep that night, the world was going to explode. So I kept myself awake for a week, unless I passed out from exhaustion. Then that was deemed okay to my head. But yeah. What caused PTSD? So I was sexually assaulted in 2014, and that caused my PTSD. I did have slight PTSD off being bullied. When I was bullied, I got jumped a few times by a few people. But the bigger thing that sort of threw me off. How do you feel when you don't have your meds? So if I don't have my meds, I really do go weird. Not weird, like I end up really unwell. And I have like weird psychotic thoughts. It's quite scary. I'm still a bit new to talking about that. So we'll go on to the next question. Does your family find it hard or supportive? So my family find it hard to deal with, but also they are extremely supportive. Tim is really supportive, my mum's really supportive, and they obviously have hard time like watching me suffer because that's what they're doing, but there's nothing they can really do. But yeah. Have you received any mental health stigma by any friends or colleagues? Yes, massively. So when I started my new job, not this November, but the November before, things were really positive. I was getting on with everyone really well, and then everyone turned against me because I ended up going off sick as I felt really low for a week. And then I received loads of nasty messages in the work group chat saying if you was ever here, you know, we'd let you in on what's currently going on and blah, blah, blah. But they stigmatised my mental health really badly and dealt with it in such a bad way. How do you feel about being in hospital and what helps you calm you down? I don't really feel anything about being in hospital. I don't really mind it, but sometimes it does wind me up. But yeah. And what calms me down? Medication at the moment, and music and colouring. Are the nurses nice/kind? Yes, some of them are, some of them are not. What helps with OCD and anxiety? So medication and talking therapies, and also fidget toys. How often are you checked on by nurses? I'm checked on every 10 minutes. Have you ever been to a PICU? Yes, I have. When I was under CAMS, the Children and Adolescent Mental Health Service, I was sent to a PICU, which is a psychiatric intensive care unit. Have you ever been locked up? No, I haven't. How bad is your anxiety? It's really bad, especially my OCD, because it's something that is constantly bothering me. It just gets worse. Do you feel safe in hospital, or do you ever feel unsafe? So if I'm not feeling well, I'll feel unsafe, as I don't understand what's going on in that current moment. but normally I do feel safe. Do you agree with being on meds or not? I do and I don't. I think it's a temporary fix for a long-term problem, but only therapies and talking is going to really help. Are you scared that you might bleed too much if you SH? No, I'm not, but I have had that fear because of my OCD. Do you stay awake all night and sleep all day? I did until this morning, until my leave got increased. So now I've got longer leave. I've got 8 hours during the day now. I can go home in the morning and go home in the evening too, so I do get longer. So I'll be awake all day. Have you ever fought nurses and doctors? Yes, I have, on many occasions, including every single day for like the past 28 days. I have fought the nurses, doctors, not in any nasty way, just through tough restraints, to keep me safe. What's your day-to-day routine? My day-to-day routine is I get up in the morning, I brush my teeth, use the loo, go out on leave, and then come back to the ward. Sometimes I have I have bad nights every night. And then I will come live on TikTok or Instagram, or I will FaceTime Tim. Do any of your tattoos have meanings? Yes, so I have got a few tattoos with meanings. I've got Just Breathe wrote on my neck, and I've got musical notes behind my ear. I'm not sure if you can see musical notes behind there. The musical notes is for the music, because music's like saved my life, and the Just Breathe is a mental health tattoo, and I've also got a semicolon there too. Do you have any friends on the ward? So I know someone who was here previously, but that's all. I don't class anyone else as friends. Can you get food anytime in hospital / at night? Yes, you can, but you can only have limited food, as they don't keep much, so they've only got biscuits, toast or sandwiches, and they're not very nice. Do you have any regrets? Yeah, probably letting my mental health like take over for my wedding day. On that day I looked lovely, but I just felt really insecure and really put down, not even by like anyone saying anything. Everyone said that I looked lovely, but it just bothered me, so I just regret not being more happier, because I know I could have been. Do you have COVID tests in the ward? Yes, we get tested every Sunday. What are your 3 biggest goals in life? My 3 biggest goals in life are to get my dream job, to become mentally well for a long period of time, or if not forever, and for my OCD to not be too bad. How did you first get help? I first got help when it's quite hard to describe, because I was sort of under cams for a while, and then I turned 18, and then I had a 3-year gap from services, so I sort of said F you to the services and just left and just did it by myself with Tim. So I first got help by speaking to the GP, who sent me to the mental health team / if I end up in A&E for any self-injury or anything else, I would be seen by the crisis team and they would assess me. How do you cope with your OCD? So this is a tough question because I don't know how I cope with it. It's a lot of tears during the day, it's a lot of breakdowns, it's a lot of anger, and different emotions, but I can't really comment much on that because I don't cope with it very well, and that's sort of sometimes I end up having bad nights. What got you sectioned? So I was sectioned, well, actually Tim phoned the police because I was repeatedly hitting my head off the banister and the walls and the doors, and I was going a bit weird, everything was a bit strange, and the police turned up. They took me to hospital. The mental health team said they wasn't going to do anything for me, they wouldn't admit me or anything like that. And when I left the hospital, they shouted, "You're not going to wait to see the psychiatrist," but they didn't have a psychiatrist at the hospital, and I knew that. So my mum got on the phone to the mental health team and said, like, "Listen, you need to help my daughter, she's not well at the moment, she needs to be in hospital." And the lady on the phone basically said, if anything happens with her, and even if she gets sectioned by the police, she will not be admitted. I will not admit her under any circumstances. She was really nasty and arrogant. I tried to do something in the middle of the road, and Tim stopped me, and by that time the police was already there and they 136'd me. I had to be seen in A&E for some things, and then I was restrained and injected in A&E to calm me down, and then I got assessed and put back in hospital. Do you pull your hair out or bite your nails? I don't do either, but I used to pull my hair a lot. I bite my lip instead. Do you ever feel not listened to by the doctors/nurses? Absolutely, especially the ward consultant. What is a section 136? A section 136 is where the police deem that you are unsafe, or you're a danger to yourself or other people, and they take you to a place of safety, which then you will later then be assessed by a mental health team. Do you have any damage/ongoing pain in your head? No, thankfully. So far I'm okay. I've had a CT scan done a couple of months ago, and that came back okay. Have you ever escaped hospital? Yes, I have. My bedroom key for my door in one of the psych wards that I was in unlocked the main doors, so I escaped. And there was another time when I set a fire alarm off and escaped. Another one. How was your pregnancy and labour with Caleb? So my pregnancy was really hard towards the end. I had really severe headaches, and I wasn't being listened to by the doctors and the midwives, and they said that I was absolutely fine. Later turned out I had preeclampsia, low platelets. I could have died, or Caleb could have died, or I could have bled out. And the labour was emergency pessary induction. So it was very scary. It was very quick. It was a bit early. It was a few weeks early, and it was really shock, and it brought me a bit of PTSD as well. If you could go back and relive one day of your life, what would it be and why? My wedding day, and I'd smile more. I'd smile more in pictures. I'd tell Tim how much more I appreciate him, even though I already do appreciate him a lot. How long does a bad episode last? So a bad episode can last months. But I literally came back into services in May 2020 last year, from my 3-year gap, which I was okay. And yeah, that was, Have you done DBT? I haven't done DBT, but I've done CBT. I've never done that. What does it feel like to be wrongly labelled as BPD and judged for that? It feels awful. I feel like I'm being spoke about by loads of different people, and I think it's really wrong how people can label someone as something and then judge you for it as well. I think it's really awful. Are you okay? No. If I'm being honest, I'm really not. Mentally, I'm drained, I'm exhausted, I'm fed up, but I am trying to stay positive. What's your favourite thing to eat? So it is, if anyone doesn't know this, it is Domino's. How are you feeling? Do you feel you are getting the right support from the mental health team? I do now, but I didn't. How does your mum feel about you having mental health problems? Does she have mental health problems too? So she's currently undergoing counselling for a few things that she's had to go through, and a few things that have affected her, which is when I was young, which of course when I was younger, there was a few different things she had to sort of see, which you can't really unsee. And I think that's caused her to have a mental health problem. When did you realise you have mental health problems? I never really realised. It was other people. What brings you out of an episode? Time. Music. People being supportive. The positivity you give to others, helping them battle through it. Do you tell yourself this when you are down? If not, you should. No, I don't. If you won the lottery, what would you spend your money on? I would buy a house, I would buy a car, I would buy a crash course, and I would move towns. Do you hear voices or see things? So I have done, and I have done on both. I will go into that in a different video, but yes, I do, and I have. Have you ever been misdiagnosed? I've been told I have EUPD, but now apparently suspected bipolar and psychosis. How would you deal with this? It's a lot to take in. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't know how to deal with that. But I've been misdiagnosed as well, and I think it's really awful and it's really traumatizing. But yeah. Any advice on how to tell your loved ones you've had a diagnosis when your struggles have been completely hidden from everyone? So maybe writing it down, or maybe if you've got someone that you feel a bit more close to in your family that you could speak to more than someone else. But definitely writing things down has helped me a lot. Do you worry your son could inherit your ADHD or ASD? I do, yeah. Do you have any advice for someone who has mental health issues and wants to reach out to someone? I would tell them, please reach out, speak to someone. There's text numbers, there's phone numbers that you can ring, there's a shout, there's Samaritans, there's people there who are there to listen and to help people, and that you will get through it one day. You've just got to be honest. And that is actually everything for the questions. And it's been quite a lengthy video, so if you've got this far, thank you for watching. I hope this helps a few people in understanding, and I hope it encourages people to seek support, as it's the best thing that you can do, especially if you catching it at an early stage. But yeah, love you all. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you all on my next.